Sepetlele ra Serute, our beautiful Chief Whip, Councillor Mogapi. Greetings to the 29 battalions and the rest of the councillors. Speaker, it is very disturbing and annoying to see a report which lists the paying before working of the sheriff as a concern, while other service providers must wait and are still owed money, but continue doing work for the city of Johannesburg. Why is this listed as a challenge and not that of contractors? Why are evictions, Speaker, and demolitions done in informal settlements and townships only, when we have buildings, high-rise buildings, which have turned into informal settlement in themselves and are burning every day? Speaker, in the first quarter, we were sitting at 58%. The department improved to 60% in the second quarter, and in the third quarter, improved to 81.8%, but went down in this quarter to 63.6%. Speaker, there's two issues or department said in this Department of Development Planning, which are food security and the assistant to ECD centers. Food security is misplaced under development planning and should be taken back to social development for it to function properly. The same goes for ECD centers support, which is the duty of social development. And we as the EFF don't understand why are they sitting in development planning. Unless if we want to claim easy victories, or is the issue of Isandla Semfen. Because it is misplaced ECD centers that are not getting assistance, which are in townships and historical informal settlements like Makhubele, Kliptown, Tembakoza, and many more that are not getting assistance. In terms of staff complement, Speaker, we are very worried that the number has reduced from 445 to 440.
30 seconds.
With the short staffing that we have at the moment. And the worrying factor above that is that the colored and Indian communities are not anywhere to be seen in this department as employees. The inspectors have been given targets of 8 inspections per day, which is why we have buildings that are not inspected properly, because inspectors must hurry their work to meet the targets that they have been given. I thank you.
Thank you. Action essay, Councillor Rakosa. What's happening?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Greetings to the Speaker of Council. Greetings to the Action SA Caucus Leader, Councillor Nobuhle Mthembu. Greetings to Action SA Chief Whip, Councillor Cllr Batlang, and Fabulous 44. All protocol observed. Action SA appreciates the improvement in the efforts of single law enforcement team. We are, however, concerned that the JDA spent more funds that are allocated to their OPEX budget. Overall, JDA needs more attention from development planning team, as a lot of projects are incomplete and behind schedule. With that said, Action SA welcome and note the reports. I thank you.
Thank you. DA, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Greetings to all councillors and officials present. We are now evaluating the fourth quarter reports for the Department of Development Planning and the Joburg Development Agency, approximately 1 year after the arrival of the new Executive Director, and also taking into account the senior vacancies in the JDA that have also been filled for some time now. With regards to the core department, a comparison of previous quarters does show that there was an improving trend in the percentage of KPIs achieved. However, the latest fourth quarter demonstrates a slight regression, while the financial year as a whole demonstrates a positive improvement when one takes into account the general financial position on the city and how it has impacted on the department. In spite of a generalized improvement, it is important to hone in on a few key areas where the quality and factual content of reporting is in need of serious improvement. Firstly, when reporting on issues attended to by urban inspectors, the rosy percentages seem to be cherry-picked. A survey of ward councils across the city will reveal that although there may be individual inspectors that perform consistently, a majority of councillors experience highly erratic performance from urban inspectors, with attendance to matters being reported taking much longer than the stated 48 hours turnaround time. In addition, feedback after inspections is often non-existent. The reported performance of urban inspectors in quarterly reports does not reflect this reality. The other serious focus point for the DA is the ever-present issues surrounding illegal billboards. Despite the poorly conceived decision to pool all departments' legal budgets with group legal, we feel that this does not exempt individual departments from owning and monitoring the matters that are referred to group legal for action. The problem is not limited to the Department of Development Planning. Quite frankly, it's a city-wide problem. When matters are handed over to group legal, city departments seem to be of the view that their job is now done. Naturally, this creates ongoing situations whereby legal issues are sent to group legal to remain in limbo, with no tracking or follow-up to ensure that these issues are understood correctly, advocates are briefed professionally, and matters are actioned through the courts. We do understand that the city has finite funding for court action, but there must be greater transparency in reporting on which cases are pursued in court and which ones are not. To address this problem, departments such as development planning need to include in their quarterly reports the number of matters referred to group legal and the number of matters that have or are in the process of being actioned through the courts. Accountability must sit jointly with group legal and the Department of Development Planning to ensure greater transparency regarding illegal billboards and all other matters that are referred to legal through the Department of Development Planning. Casting our attention to the JDA, we see that problems which had started to creep into the entity from around 2019 are still there. Firstly, poorly performing contractors remains a problem. This results in project delays, non-payment of workers, as well as wasteful expenditure. The underlying problem is that individual contractors are not required to demonstrate financial viability at the time of tendering. Furthermore, the excuse that it remains impossible to ascertain a contractor's financial health is a bogus one. The Democratic Alliance during the 2016 term of office proved the point that it can be done. There simply seems to be no political will to impose this common-sense screening requirement. The second issue of concern with JDA is one which easily predates its contractor problem and, to be fair, is a matter that falls outside of their direct authority. Rather, it is an issue which every city manager for the last 15 years has ignored. This is the problem of interdepartmental debt. For years and years, departments and other MOEs have been failing to reimburse JDA for work done, with the underlying cause being that departments and MOEs simply fail to budget for the work which they know the JDA will be undertaking for them during any given financial year. Naturally, this causes cash flow problems for the JDA and in many instances audit findings, which funny enough should be accredited to the departments and MOEs who fail to make payment. We are aware that the current ED has raised the matter with the city manager, but given the sheer length of time that this problem has persisted, we do not hold our breath waiting for action or accountability to be imposed on departments and MOEs. One thing that we can learn from development planning and the JDA, which actually cuts across the city, is that political instability has an obvious knock-on effect within the civil service. In an ideal world, it is the civil service that is meant to provide continuity of planning and action, despite political administrations coming and going. Unfortunately, we need to accept that our civil service is not always up to that role, and we as politicians need to own the consequences that come out of our fighting and jockeying for position. Since the collapse of the Mashaba coalition, the city has largely downed tools and accepted the inevitable consequences of poor financial planning, lack of accountability, and minimal maintenance of essential infrastructure. The city of Joburg is not too big to fail, and all of us need to be wary of short-sighted gains. The role that development planning in particular plays in managing, shaping, and guiding the city's long-term development cannot be understated. In effect, spatial and development planning impact on cities' ability to grow economically and to accommodate an ever-growing population. We have a serious mission on our hands. There was a light at the end of the tunnel in the form of a golden start, which merged into a golden plan and now seems to be a soap opera of political myopia. We as politicians and civil servants need to remember that we exist to build and guide the future for the residents of Johannesburg. We are writing the next few chapters in our city's history. Let us be mindful of what characters we want to play, and we can all start by being people that residents can actually respect.
Thank you. ANC Councillor Makhubele.
Greetings to you, Speaker. Let me also greet the leader of caucus of the ANC, Dada Morero, fellow councillors. As the ANC would like to note this report, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. MMC Mpina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Greetings to all councillors. Madam Speaker, let me answer the concerns from councillors. I think maybe let me start with the one of Councillor Mosehla on the demolitions. We note his concern, but he must also understand that we are doing our work. So demolition of buildings is part of our work, regardless of where it is happening. So officials are responding to the work that must be done, but we'll monitor as to where the trend is. If there's a trend that it's done in particular areas and in other areas demolitions are not done, then we'll definitely monitor that. In terms of payments to SMMEs, I think we are working around the clock to make sure that SMMEs are paid. We have received a number of SMMEs concerns that they are not being paid by the main contractors, but we are definitely attending to that. We'll see some improvement going forward. I think on the issue of the food security, we need to maybe to have a session, perhaps at section 79, to understand why we have that at development planning, including the ECD issue, because at development planning, that's where we deal with compliance. We assist ECDs to comply in terms of running of their ECDs. So that's why it's there. But we'll further assist the committee, perhaps in bringing the presentation or some form of a workshop to the Section 79 committee. On staff complement, I think, Madam Speaker, through you, the ED of development planning is an Indian. So I just want to disqualify what Councillor Msretla was saying earlier on, that there is not even one Indian or colours at development planning. So for instance, the ED is an Indian, and we do have Indians and colours at development planning, so it should not be an issue. The issue of vacancies as well, the concern that is raising, we have officials that have resigned, hence the number has actually went down, but we will be replacing or recruiting and to fill those positions that are now vacant. We are also attending to the vacancies at JDA, the executives there at JDA, which in the next quarter, the report will specify in terms of how far we are, and there is progress there as well. We have also attended to the issue of appeals. In the next quarter, it will be reported. I was still waiting for the delegations from the executive mayor, which are now here in the office. So we are definitely attending to appeals, and appeals reports will then serve at Section 79 in the next meeting. I want to also make a point that, and rest assured, councillors, that the political will is there. It's important also for us to work together. Where there are loopholes, we are always open to discussions so that we address where we are not doing well. And together, I believe that we can do more. And there should be consequence management. I agree that people who are not working must really be attended to, and it's something that we're working on as a department. I think for now, let me safely say that in case I did not hear other comments, I would just want to note, and we can further discuss with councillors at a later stage. Thank you.
Thank you, MMC. Member in charge, Chair Colleen.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, following these observations, the committee recommends that Council approves the Section 79 Development Planning Committee Oversight Report and the fourth quarter performance reports of the Department of the Development Planning and Johannesburg Development Agency. PA via Orlando, 25th November. Salute, Speaker.
Thank you. The recommendations are on pages 4.3, 5.6, and 44.10 to 44.11. Are the items agreed to? Thank you, councillors. We are now going to break for lunch for half an hour. It's close by. Where you had breakfast, that's where lunch is served. So let us be back here by 2:15. 2:15, half an hour lunch break. Thank you, councillors.